We're seeing more people, and we're seeing more people in crisis. So it's really important to be on the front lines and be here for people, meeting them wherever they are in this economy.
Welcome to your Tuesday on 100 Huntley Street, Canada's home for hope. And Joe,
yes,
a little birdie told me that Canadians are feeling especially generous this year at Christmas.
Well, if by little birdie you mean the 2025 holiday retail outlook from Deloitte Canada, then you're right.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Well, obviously. Well, that report says that Canadians are going to increase their spending this Christmas by 3%. I guess that's a lot overall, right?
Yeah, if you think about it, it depends on how much you spend to start with.
That's true.
It's true. That report says some of the increase, of course, is just rising cost of living.
Yeah.
But also, Canadians apparently are feeling resourceful and resilient right now, despite the economic challenges. Mm-hmm. So, are you feeling resourceful and resilient?
Yes, I am.
Okay, but it does say that everyone's going to be looking for deals.
I think so. I think people we're tired. It's been a long haul. The economy has been struggling for a while since the pandemic. We're not there yet, but things are getting better. And, we just had Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so I'm sure a lot of Canadians, they joined in. But if you're not done shopping, we're going to have some tips later on in the program about how you can manage your finance around Christmas. So, make sure you stick around for that.
You're going to love this conversation. And, this is such a busy time for everybody.
Yeah.
And Christmas just adds that extra little bit. And I think, you can have a lot of stress because it could be like family dynamics, like estrangement or just dynamics in the family.
Yeah.
It can be grief. It can be financial issues. It can also be expectations, though. Like some people have different expectations about how Christmas should go. Probably when you were newly married, you remember this, and it can cause stress.
Yeah, it does. Expectations, for that perfect Christmas doesn't exist, because we're not perfect. We strive for it. It's never perfect, and some people have that. Remember Norman Rockwell would have those paintings of the beautiful snow. Look, there it is, the turkey and all that.
Look at the perfect family.
Yeah, but reality doesn't always live up to it. We strive for it.
Rarely. Or how about Martha Stewart, right? She always set the perfect table, and everything was so perfect. It was curated, the food. Right? Like, who can do... Okay, I don't have those skills, so I'm really intimidated. But I think we need to keep encouraging each other. Let's find more joy. Let's find less stress. Look for simple things. So I often will, with a good friend of mine, go for a walk with a hot chocolate and look at the Christmas lights or a drive.
Yeah, I remember as kids, even my dad, worked on an assembly line in a window factory all of his life. We didn't have a lot of extra money. We couldn't even afford Christmas lights. So we used to drive around the area looking at all the Christmas lights, hoping that maybe one day we would be able to do that, Oh,
and now your house is lit up like the Rockefeller Center.
No, I have no lights because I'm lazy. But anyways, other things you can do to, kind of lessen the stress around Christmas is, you can volunteer time. There's so many ways to do that. You can do it in a soup kitchen or a food bank, maybe even in your church, they're doing something in the community. There's so many ways to give meaning this Christmas. And, we have to take back the holiday from this commercialism that is so prevalent this time of the year. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard to watch TV because they're almost telling you, you know what, if you love that person, go into debt to show them that you love them.
Right.
And Jesus gets kind of thrown to the bottom of the barrel. And it's like, hey, let's make what's important important.
It's so true. My inbox is completely overwhelmed with sales, buy, give, buy, sales. I'm just like,
Stores I've never shopped at. I get their emails from, I'm like, how did you get my email address?
They know, Joe. They know. They've tracked you down. But remember what it's all about. And that's, we're here at 100 Huntley Street to help us all remember that. Yesterday we had you slow down. Today we're going to remind you of the best gift in history.
That's right.
God sent his only son, Jesus, to earth to die for you so that your sins, my sins, could be forgiven, so that we can have a relationship with God without any of that shame and guilt and sin that gets in the way sometimes and puts up walls.
Yeah, so, take some time this Christmas. Maybe reread the Bethlehem story. I know we've read it so many times, or maybe there's so many options on television, Netflix, whatever. Rewatch, the story of the birth of Jesus. A lot of streaming services will have at least one episode or maybe more, and we have to be intentional about bringing back the true meaning of Christmas this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned volunteering at food banks or volunteering this time of year, because actually across Canada, compassionate outreaches in our cities, particularly food banks, are struggling as the demand surges. We're going to have more information on that in a moment. But first, take a look at one of the many Canadian ministries that Crossroads Cares is supporting this Christmas.
541 Eatery and Exchange is more than a restaurant. I think that exchange part sometimes gets left off. We really do work on building relationships with our regular guests. We work with community partners. So we're trying to build bridges, meet people where they are, understand what the needs are, and try to connect people to supports in the community.
I just wanted to really ask you about the climate that we're in economically. Have you seen the need increasing in your community?
In the current economic climate, which is more uncertain for our donors and for our guests, we see increased need. And that can be someone who was employed previously, who's lost a job, folks who've gone from full-time employment to part-time, families with 2 bread earners who are now down to 1 income. We also see increasing number of people who are unhoused, or precariously housed. Sometimes there's a mental health component or an addiction component. So we're seeing more people, and we're seeing more people in crisis. So it's really important to be on the front lines and be here for people, meeting them wherever they are in this economy.
My name is Chris. I've been coming here probably on and off like 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. 2 years, but soberly, 3 months, 2-3 months, like completely. There's hardship, there's suffering all around you, and there's also a lot of like light. There's people in the middle of it trying to do well. There's community. Nobody's looking down on anybody. Like they're not really giving a hand out here. They're giving a hand up.
We have a second currency, which we refer to as the buttons. If you come in and you feel that you have a little extra today and you want to pay it forward, a meal or 2 for someone else, you'd buy buttons, $1 a piece, drop them in the button jar. And when someone is having a hard time, comes in and would like to pay using buttons, they're already there. You've prepaid that for an individual or 2 the next day, so that people can have a meal that they choose. Everyone chooses their meal, like in any other restaurant, and pay for it in a unique way.
And why is that dignity piece so important to you? Like, what difference does that make?
The dignity piece means everything. If we all think back, there was a time in our life when we were struggling, when there was something or someone we relied on that was removed from our life, whether we lost a job, a relationship, our housing, whatever that might be. And dignity is so important when you feel on the margins.
What does it mean to have a charity like Crossroads Cares come alongside and say, we want to help you in this season?
It means so much. We are incredibly grateful to know that we're not on the front lines alone, that other people care about the work that we're doing and our guests that are participating in Faith in Action. It means everything to our guests, to the staff, to the volunteers. We couldn't be more grateful. You're making a difference in someone's life in a tangible way in uncertain times, and helping us share hope, which is so important.
And for someone who's thinking of giving to Crossroads Cares to help support charities like 541 Eatery and Exchange, what would you say to them?
Oh, I would say thank you. Thank you for walking alongside of us. You have an opportunity to make a difference this season, to help us provide not just food and meals, but meals with dignity, food and hope to so many people who are struggling, people who feel socially isolated, or maybe just having a rough time in the economy. You can make a difference, and we're so thankful for you.
Wow, such a beautiful story, and just hearing that one gentleman, Chris, talk about his experience of being there. And he says, no one judges you here. They're not giving you a handout. They're giving you a hand up. And I just thought, just the importance of presence. Yeah. Not presents. We always think about giving, but sometimes just giving of yourself and being there with people, not judging them, just embracing them and being with them. What a beautiful piece, and I'm so glad that we can partner with them and be a blessing to them.
Yeah, and Chris being newly sober, you know that community he's been in for a couple of years had an impact on him being able to make that move and that decision. You know, a new report in this province of Ontario says 1 million people used a food bank here in the last year.
Wow.
And 2 out of 3 food banks are concerned about sustaining their operations in the next 6 months. So a lot of pressure. I heard some food banks, it's gone up even like 90% demand.
It's unbelievable what's happening across the country. You know, employed adults are the fastest growing group of food bank visitors. You know, and that's a really sobering thought, because you always think of, you know, people who don't have jobs or they're new to the country and they can't get by. But people are trying, they're working hard, and they're still struggling, you know, and so food banks are becoming a last resort for people. And so the consequences of them, you know, reducing their services, that could be dire. And from what we're hearing, the picture, that it's similar all across Canada, and, you know, especially challenging in our biggest cities that has a higher cost of living. So.
Yeah, one of those reports said like food bank use is one of the biggest signs of impending on being unhoused. Like it's because you're struggling to choose between the two. But, you know, it's so important that we support people who are struggling to choose between rent and groceries. We should never have to make that decision. And honestly, for me here at Crossroads Cares this year, like we do this every Christmas. We don't always talk about it. We send funds across Canada to food banks and charities that do outreach to people who are unhoused. But this year, I really wanted to do a big push for it. And honestly, we're going to try to do it more than once a year. So maybe in the summer, we'll give them another hit. And we're doing this from Nova Scotia to BC, just finding some charities that we can say, we want to help you in this time and in this encouragement. So I want to encourage you to give. The way that you do it is when you go to crossroads.ca/cares, go to the Canadian Emergency Fund. Now, this is a fund that we've created that is for fires, that's for floods, that's also to help people who are seeking emergency services like food banks or the unhoused, and that's what we're going to use it for. So crossroads.ca/cares, the Canadian Emergency Fund, 1-800-265-3100. If you have the resources to give, let's make sure just to bless these ministries that are doing such a great job at Christmas.
Amen. I love it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Our hands, hands that work, hands that provide, hands that create, hands that comfort. Our hands, the image of His hands. His hands broke bread, washed feet, touched the blind, made them see. His hands stretched out to the world, saying, "Come to me." Together, we are His hands. Hands that are there for others, held open in an ever-willing embrace. Together, we serve, releasing and giving away, shining light on those who need the light, not pointing at our own reflection, but directing it to His perfection. Bringing change, bringing life, bringing hope and healing. These are the hands we possess. The hands of Jesus. And together, we serve.
Now, I'm not trying to panic anyone, but you should know there are only 15 days left until Christmas. Now, if your shopping is done, you're probably going, yay! But if you still have lots to do, well, this time of year can be a little stressful. And my guest today is actually here to help bring down some of the financial side of that stress. So please welcome Will MacLaughlin.
Lovely to be with you.
It's so great to have you back, Will. And, if people haven't seen you before, you're the CEO of Christians Against Poverty, or CAP.
Yep.
And I just want to read your mission. It is to inspire and equip church communities to help those facing financial insecurity. And we really wanted to have this conversation because this is the time of year where people can overspend. I have been guilty of that because I tend to shop with my heart, not my head. I just want to bless people, right? But sometimes that can get you in trouble. I'm getting better at that, but you actually have some tips to help us be even better.
Yeah, and it is such a gift to have that heart and that desire to bless others. Like that is a gift. So that's not a bad thing at all. But sometimes we just need to put in little boundaries as well to help us. And that's really where a budget and thinking through some little tips can really help us move forward. Mm-hmm. And just to frame it well, I just want to read this one verse. It's Philippians 4, verse 12, so a verse we're probably familiar with. But it says, I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. And really, it's about finding that sense of contentment in a season that can be really frantic and difficult and where there's lots of pressures and it tugs on our heartstrings. And so finding that contentment and centering ourselves, grounding ourselves, rooting ourselves, I think is really, really important.
It's true, especially this time of year. I can almost feel in the air this commercialism, like spend, sale, today only. All those days that we go through, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, like all of it. So what is your first tip then to help us kind of rein it in? Yeah,
I think first of all, it's to really think about what matters most.
Yeah.
Like what's really important to me as an individual. Like my values, the focus that I have, and maybe just thinking of three things that are really important. So it could be that we want to spend time with friends, that's something we really want to do in this season. It might be that we want to spend time with having meals with folks that we care about. It could be that we want to think of meaningful gifts. So gifts can be a part of it, absolutely. And if we've been blessed in a year, maybe we want to be a blessing to others. So that sense of being able to be generous is really important. But knowing ourselves and what we really want to do in this Christmas season is important, because then it gives us a focus. Then it gives us a bit of direction. And every choice we make, we can run through that little lens. Is it meaningful? Is this building relationships? Is this with friends, with family, with people I care about?
And can I afford it too? That should be part of that whole lens about what matters most, because it might matter most for you to have a Lamborghini, but if I can't afford it, that's right? Okay, but the next one, set expectations early. I like this one because I feel like there's a little dance that happens. You're like, are you going to get me something? Or maybe you have a new friend that year, or maybe last year you got them something, but they didn't get you something, but now they're going to get you something and then you didn't because they didn't, right?
Yeah.
It's so confusing.
Oh, it can be so hard, and it can impact relationships. Like you're saying, somebody got something last year, what should I do? And you don't want to feel that sense of embarrassment or awkwardness. So the expectations is really about having healthy conversations. Being able just to say, look, this year, I want to focus on something that's really meaningful. Like I would love to give a gift of time and energy and relationship and connection. Or maybe it's limiting, saying we're going to get gifts, but let's limit the amount we spend on this. If I'm going to spend, $10, $15 on a gift, I don't want a Lamborghini coming back the other way because I'm going to feel so guilty. And just being able to have that conversation is something that just helps us in the process of thinking through gifts. Particularly sometimes with family and friends. And it's okay to say, look, maybe going into 2026, I feel a little bit nervous. Maybe that's employment or job situation, economy. So I would love just to limit a little bit what we spend in this season instead of throwing money on gifts that weren't needed.
I have had a few of those conversations in my family. We draw names and then we have about, some kind of a spending goal. So it's really clear. And then we do lists like get me something I need as opposed to something I don't. So that's my practical, pragmatic side. But the next one we talked a little bit about, but let's dive into it. So the B word, I call it, because my dad's a chartered accountant. I've heard this word my whole life from the time I was little. Budget.
Yep. And a budget sometimes we can feel that as a pressure and a weight on our shoulders, but really it's just building that little bit of a framework around us to protect us perhaps from overspending or getting into challenging debt where we've put stuff on a card and we're not sure how we're going to pay that off in January or February. And particularly at Christmas, sometimes we can create a budget that just goes, this is how much I'm spending on gifts. And the challenge is there's often extras that creep in.
Yes.
Maybe that's an event. We want to spend time with our friends. We want to go to that Christmas market and have fun, but perhaps there's parking involved. Maybe we want to get a little bit of a meal there, and all of a sudden we've spent extra. And that's not a bad thing, as long as we've been intentional and we've thought about that a little bit. The same can be true for if we're thinking of decorations even. I want to put some things up and maybe have the fun of going and getting like a new Christmas tree, something like that. If we budget for that, great. We've kind of prepped it, we've thought it through. If we've not, then it can get tricky for us because maybe we're pulling money from other places and then we're having to play catch up. And so in our generosity, in our enthusiasm, me next month is actually going to have to deal with a lot of the consequences of that.
So, and January has a lot of depressive days, I've heard, and then we have Blue Monday. And a lot of that is those bills landing on our desks.
Absolutely.
For sure. And now, is there an actual Bible verse about budgeting? Did I hear you say that?
Yeah, well, the Bible has so much to say about our finances, like budgeting, how we're thinking, because it's such a focus on our hearts, right? Like that's why I think the Lord talks about finances so much. And one of the verses we would talk about, like in Luke chapter 12, verse 15, it says, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. And so part of it for us is really thinking, when it comes to our budget, let's not throw all of the money onto gifts. Let's not throw it all onto the stuff. Let's think about it differently. And that's where we can circle back to what matters most. If it's time, if it's relationship, if it's food with friends, how do we do that? And that can really inform our budget.
And don't get sucked into those sales. Do not get sucked into those sales. That is the thing for a lot of us. Okay, so I think this is a good one, this next one, because I had a friend who went on a national television show in the U.S. and talked about this, and she had got so much hate mail. So let's redeem regifting.
Oh, absolutely. We should regift.
Right?
It's such a great way and can be so meaningful as well for so many people. For instance, my wife loves pottery. She's got lots of little pottery mugs and things. And a couple of years ago, she gave those to different friends. And because they knew how much that mattered to Leanne, because they'd been over at our home and they had little coffee mornings or it meant so much because they recognized the heart behind the gift. And sometimes we think it's the dollar value that is the most important.
Yeah.
But being able to regift simple things, it could be a book perhaps that we've read that's really impacted us, and write in a little note to say, this really helped me at a stage in my life. I want to give this to you because my prayer is that will bring joy to you as well. Those things are so beautiful. Now, probably best not to regift as a decluttering exercise. Here's this broken alarm clock. I'm going to hand that to you. But if we've got those things that we can regift, it can be such a meaningful experience.
Here's the mixer from the 1970s that I got on my wedding day that I've never used. In the old school box. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the last one is creativity. Tell me about that.
Yeah, like creativity, when we think of gifts, if we've got skills, maybe we love to cook and bake. Perhaps we could bake cookies. We can find out that recipe that somebody really loves who said, I really love chocolate chip cookies. And so we bake some of those. We take that around. And again, we're demonstrating with our time, with our efforts, with listening as well. We've heard what you've said and we're trying to give you a gift that is meaningful for you. That can be something where we use those skills, or perhaps it could be vouchers. We know that you're going through a challenging time and we want to give you some freedom. So we're going to do a voucher for babysitting. We'll come and watch your kids so that you can go and have
every single mom is going, please.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it could be something where we go, let's spend time together. So we're going to be creative. by saying, we're going to meet up, we're going to go for a walk, we're going to pray together, we're going to make our own coffee, put it in a travel mug, go for a stroll, and we're going to give the gift of time. And those things are just really simple ways to show we care. It was our eldest daughter's 17th birthday recently. One of her friends put together a little album of 17 letters from 17 people who love you on your 17th.
Aww.
And it was so meaningful.
I love that.
For Eden, but also for us as parents and for other friends, just to go, oh, you really care. And so that's where the creativity can really kick in.
I love that. So now Cap Canada coaches people who are struggling with their finances and coaches churches on how to coach people. Have you seen a difference in people when they've started applying some of these things at Christmas? Like, have you seen stress go down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sense of confidence that people have to have healthy conversations, to be able to think intentionally, and then be really happy with the gifts that they've bought or the effort that they've put into creating those gifts is something that's really freeing. And particularly at this time of year. Like, we talk a lot about gifts and it's the events and everything else, but the reason for Christmas is that we get the beauty of celebrating God with us, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
And so for us to be able to say we're taking the lead following the lead of Jesus to say, hey, we are with you, we are for you, and we're alongside you is just something that's really special. I think does bring light into darkness, does bring peace into a time that can be frantic. And so, yeah, it's just a real thrill and a joy to see people seizing that.
So much more impactful than a gift card, is doing some of those things that take more effort and take more time. Will, we always love having you here. Thank you so much for your advice. And if you didn't get enough time to take all kinds of notes, I just want to remind you to go to capcanada.org/Christmas. All that advice and more is there. And yeah, let's make this Christmas more meaningful. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
This Christmas, be inspired by Crossroads Advent Journey. Come worship the King. Receive daily devotions from Royal Anthems sent directly to your inbox to encourage your faith.
And I hope that you now have in your hands, as you're listening to us here, your copy of the Reach magazine. But if you don't, you can go online to get it. You can go online just to read these devotionals at crossroads.ca/reach. Of course, in here, not only are the Advent devotionals, but we love this, don't we, Joe?
The magic flip.
The magic flip. There's also a gift catalog, all kinds of different ways that you can give gifts with meaning this Christmas. So either a thank you for your support of this ministry or just different ways that you can say to people, hey, I was able to buy this for the prayer lines. I was able to buy this for Crossroads Cares. So there's all those options in here. And so you want to make sure to get your copy of this, absolutely. And you have like your favorite thing.
Well, this is one of the things that you can get online from our magazine. It's called All the Cozy Christmas Feels. And it's got all these kind of cool stories. And I was kind of just going through it, and some of the subtitles caught my attention. I'm a subtitle guy. I think they're always funny. Like they say here, "O come, all ye fruitcakes." I have no idea what that's about, but I'm sure it's worth a read. And this one, it says, "Here comes doggy paws, here comes kitty claus." I promise you that's what it says. That's not my normal language, but that's in here. So
it sounds highly entertaining.
So if that sounds intriguing to you, yeah, pick it up.
And there are lots of other great things like mugs and books and calendars. So look at it, crossroads.ca/reach. Go ahead and look at it and see what you like. And we will send these gifts to you as a thank you gift for your donation to this ministry. Yep. That number, 1-800-265-3100, crossroads.ca/gift. And has anyone told you lately what a gift you are?
Yeah.
And what a gift you are, Joanne
Well,
Ross.
thank you. You are a gift also.
Thank you.
And I would like to say to you, you know what? Maybe we said it's not always about the presents, it's about the presents. Maybe pick one of these up and go visit a senior or a shut-in or something and just be present with them and share it with them. It could be a really cool way to minister to them.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for
Thank
watching.
you, Joe.
We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for your ongoing support of Crossroads, a supporter-funded nonprofit organization and member of the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. Thanks to faithful people like you, we are able to continue producing 100 Huntley Street. You can write to Crossroads, P.O. Box 5100, Burlington, Ontario, L7R4M2, or visit crossroads.ca to learn more about our programs.